1 Samuel 6. When the ark of the Lord had been in the land of the Philistines for 7 months, the Philistines called the priest and the omen reader, saying, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Advise us as to how we should send it back to its place." They replied, if you are going to send the ark of God of Israel back, don't send it away empty. Be sure to return it with a guilt offering. Then you will be healed, and you will understand why his hand has not been removed from you. They inquired, "What is a guilt offering that we should send to him?" They replied, "The Philistine leader's number 5. So send 5 sores and 5 gold mice, for it is the same plague that has affected both you and your leaders. You should make images of the sores and images of the mice that are destroying the land. You should honor the God of Israel. Perhaps he will release his grip on you, your gods, and your land. Why harden your hearts like the Egyptians and Pharaoh did? When God treated them harshly, didn't the Egyptians send the Israelites on their way? So now go and make a new cart. Get 2 cows that have calves, and that have never had a yoke placed on them. Harness the cows to the cart and take their calves from them back to their stalls. Then take the ark of the Lord and place it on the cart and put the chest beside it. The gold objects you are to send to him as a guilt offering. You should then send it on its way, but keep an eye on it. If it should go up by the way of its own border to Beth Shemesh, then he has brought this great calamity on us. But if that is not the case, then we will know that it was not his hand that struck you or struck us. Rather, it just happened to us by accident." So the men did as instructed. They took 2 cows that had calves and harnessed the cows to a cart. They also removed their calves to their stalls. They put the ark of the Lord on the cart, along with the chest, the gold mice, and the images of the sores. Then the cows went directly on the road to Beth Shemesh. They went along the route bellowing more and more. They turned neither to the right nor to the left. The leaders of the Philistines were walking along behind them all the way to the border of Beth Shemesh. Now the residents of Beth Shemesh were harvesting wheat in the valley. When they looked up, they saw the ark. They were pleased at the sight. The cart was coming to the field of Joshua, who was from Beth Shemesh. Paused there near a big stone. Then they cut up the wood of the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the chest that was with it, which contained the gold objects. They placed them near the big stone. At that time, the people of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and made sacrifices to the Lord. The 5 Philistine leaders watched what was happening and returned to Ekron on the same day. These are the gold sores that the Philistines brought as a guilt offering to the Lord, 1 for each of the following cities: Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The gold mice corresponded in number to all the Philistine cities of the 5 leaders. From the fortified cities, the hamlet villages, to the greater Abel, they positioned the ark of the Lord on a rock until this very day in the field of Joshua, who was from Beth Shemesh. But the Lord struck down some of the people of Beth Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. He struck down 50,070 of the men. The people grieved because the Lord had struck down the people with a hard blow. The residents of Beth Shemesh asked, "Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God? To whom will the ark go up from here?" So they sent messengers to the residents of Kiriath Jearim, saying, "The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down here and take it back home with you." And then we don't continue, but interrupt the flow of the story and go back to the beginning. I'm sorry if that annoys you that I point out that the chapter breaks are annoying, but they are. We're in the middle of the story and we just stop. Okay. When the ark of the Lord had been in the land of the Philistines for 7 months, 7 being the number of totality, being the number of completeness. Is there a complete amount of time to cause chaos and to cause destruction? So they go to their priest and the omen readers and ask, what should they do? Advise us how we should send it back to its place. So they have made the realization themselves that we need to get rid of it. It needs to be gone, out of here, bye-bye now, but we want to do it in the right way and get it out of here and not have it. So they're asking about how we should do it. And so their first thing is don't send it away empty. You need to send an offering with it. And the point that you need to have a guilt offering is because you must have done something wrong because you are incurring all of these problems, which would be a result of having guilt upon you. So you need to send a guilt offering with it so that hopefully your guilt will be removed from you and all the things that have been happening to you will be gone. So they rationalize that there are 5 leaders. So you need 5 of the gold sowers and 5 of the gold mice. So it's not because of Torah here that there are 5. It's because of the number of leaders that there are going to be 5. So images of the sowers and images of the mice. Let me see what the footnote has here. If they have helpful, your mice. The Qumran reads simply the mice. Okay. So they haven't told us here, and I'm surprised they didn't. There is some difficulty in understanding exactly what is going on here with the sowers and the mice in the original text. What is it? What is it they're talking about? But one of the things that it might be is it might be phalluses. Okay, what might have been happening, and 7 months would be enough period of time to show that they have an ED problem and or a fertility problem. So that's what potentially could be going on here. And so the sowers could be either phalluses in some way, or they could had some infection, and they could have been, some kind of genital sores. So there's something in the text that alludes to a direction of that kind, which, let me see, is Dagon the fertility god? Who was Dagon? Okay, Dagon was god of what? Yes, grain, fertility, and agriculture. So remember in the last chapter, Dagon is fallen down before they took this to Dagon's castle, or to his temple. So if it's mice eating grain, agriculture, and fertility, this is what's being attacked. So if you remember, and they figured this out, that when Israel was in Egypt, the assault was against the gods of Egypt. And Egypt hardened its heart and didn't send the Israelites out. Here, it's an attack on the things that Dagon is the god of. So he's the god of grain, the god of fertility. That's what we definitely is an attack on fertility. So whether that is some kind of perhaps genital disease and sores, or if that is, erectile dysfunction, something is going on along the lines of fertility is what we should be seeing and understanding. Like I said, the Hebrew text is very sus in helping us fully get what's going on there. Like I said, I'm surprised they didn't have a footnote here. They probably just decided to skip it and give the best explanation. Okay. But the mice would also be attacking the agriculture, and Dagon can't protect it. Okay, they're destroying the land. Perhaps he will release his grip from the lands. Why harden your hearts like the Egyptian and Pharaoh did when God treated them harshly? So see, they know that this is the case. So now they come up with a scheme on some level. And I don't mean scheme as a bad thing. A scheme as in figuring out if this is from the Israelite God, or if it is just happenstance that it happened. Tip of the cap, Zach. Tip of the cap. So we're going to put the cart on a brand new cart. So there can't be any contamination there. It's brand new. They don't sacredize it in any way, but it is a brand new cart. And they're going to put it on there. And they're going to take 2 cows that have given birth that have calves. Okay? They've never had the yoke. So you got to find these cows. And these 2 cows aren't going to work together. See, that's part of the thing of having 2 cows who've never been in the yoke. They don't know how to work together when they do this. And you're going to take their calves away from them, their mothers who are feeding their calves. They're going to want to be near their calves. They're not going to want to continue to stray away from their calves. So if we do this and those cows head straight for Israel and return it right to where it belongs, we know that their God did this, because their God is powerful enough to control the minds of these 2 cows and lead these 2 cows to where the cart should take it. But if it was just an happenstance that the plagues came upon us, the cows are going to wander around in a circle. They're not going to go anywhere, and we'll know it wasn't their God. So they're setting up a scenario in which God is going to need to intervene in the minds and hearts, I guess I would say, of these 2 mother cows to go against their instincts to return to their calves and also work together, which they've never done, and pull a load, which they've never done, and go away from their calves. And they do. Like, this is just so fascinating. Like, they come up with this whole, that's why I call it a scheme, because they're really trying to hedge their bets that it's not going to be proven true that it was the God of Israel who did it. But if it does, there we go. So they do everything that they're commanded. They get the 2 cows. They get the calves harness. They get the cart. They put the ark on it. They put the golden mice and the images of the sowers. The cows went directly to the road to Beth Shemesh. And boom, they go directly there. They're bellowing more and more. The farther they get away, the louder they are yelling because they want their calves, but they're not going to turn away. And the leaders of the Philistines were walking along behind them all the way to the border of Beth Shemesh. So they're walking all behind, checking this out, making sure it's happening. And they go right there. So is it all 5 leaders? Perhaps it is all 5 leaders. Is it other leaders? It doesn't say. It's just the leaders. So the residents of Beth Shemesh were harvesting wheat in the valley. When they looked up and they saw the ark, they were pleased at the sight. The cart was coming to the field of Joshua, who was from Beth Shemesh. It paused near a big stone. Interesting. Not sure what's up with the big stone, but it pauses by the big stone. They cut up the wood of the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to God. It says they. Now, we get later that the Philistines leave, so I'm assuming it's not the Philistines who do this. I'm assuming it is Beth Shemesh, and probably the matching of ending of the case words would tell us that. So I'm assuming it is them, but sometimes Hebrew is just vague enough to not give us all of the details of who it is. So they offer up near the big stone the cows that pulled it. So these 2 cows get offered as an offering. They break up the cart as to set the offering ablaze. It also does let us know, but not right away, it does let us know that the Levites took the ark of the covenant and the chest that was with it that contained the gold objects, and they placed them near the big stone. So when the cart arrives, before they break up the cart, the Levites come, and remember, Levites are the only ones who can touch and carry the ark. So they do this properly. They pull the ark down, and it is off of there. They take the cart, they burn the cart, and they offer the cows as a sacrifice. God, we're praising you. These cows have returned it. This cart has brought it back to us, and we're going to praise you that we have the ark back. So they offer the burnt offering, and they make sacrifice to God. The 5 leaders of the Philistines watch. So now we have clarity. It was the leaders are the 5 leaders. They watch what happened, and they return to Ekron on the same day. So they just follow behind. They're watching what happens. They're seeing the people offer up the celebration, and they leave. Now, there was the chest as well that had the gold swords of the Philistines, brought the ark of the Lord, each one from, now they're going to get the list of the cities, Ashdod, Gaza, okay, whatever they are, and then the cities of the hamlets, from the hamlet villages to Greater Abel. Okay, so we're just getting and it was for all of them. They positioned the ark of the Lord on a rock until the very day. Okay. Until this very day in the field of Joshua, who was from Beth Shemesh. Okay, interesting that we have this. It likes to use this phrase, and it is there to this very day. Well, we know it's not there to this very day. But when this was written, as it was being told, it's a story marker that it is certain to have been there, and you can count on it, and you could go see it, and those kinds of things that are happening there. So that's part of it. So, which is also a phrase that happens often, but we'll get the story moving and they'll move it in a little bit. So it won't be there to this very day. So we don't have to believe that as a certainty of its continuation, but a certainty of the validity of the event. But the Lord struck down some of the people of Beth Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. He struck down 50,070 of the men, which is a really weird number, 50,070. The number 50,070 is surprisingly large, although it finds almost unanimous textual support in the Masoretic text in the ancient versions. Only a few medieval lack 50,000, simply 70 instead. However, there does not seem to be sufficient external evidence to warrant the reading 70 rather than 50,070, although that is done by a number of recent translations, but they're following the ancient one. So welcome in, Lucis. Yeah, 50,070 seems like an incredibly large number, and I don't think Beth Shemesh had a population large enough to do that, which is why you would want to change it to 70 later. So there could be something problematic in this text, that maybe it was supposed to be 570. Anyway, they do the proper thing in having the Levites take it down, but then the curiosity begins to get to them, and they open it up and look into it. Now, does God wait until 50,070 of them look into it? Or if the people are waiting in line to look into it and they're trying to peer into it, does he just strike them dead because of their intent? Doesn't matter. They're struck dead. The people are grieved because the Lord struck down the people. Well, you know what? You should not have done what you're not supposed to do. And they ask the question, who is able to stand before this holy God? Great question. To whom will the ark go up from here? So, like, who can stand before him? The ark needs to leave us. They send messengers to Kiriath Jearim, saying the Philistines have returned the ark. Come down here and take it back home with you. So that's where it had been before. Let's take it back there. Let's get them to take it. They clearly know what they're doing and how they should handle it. And we'll see when we get to the next chapter how that continues.